The information provided in this video is for educational and informational purposes only, and is not intended as legal, financial, or psychological advice. We are not lawyers, financial advisors, or licensed therapists. Divorce is a deeply personal and complex process, and the experiences discussed are not a substitute for professional guidance. Always consult with qualified professionals for advice tailored to your specific situation. There's a moment. For every man who's been through it, there's a moment. It's not always loud. In fact, it's usually quiet. It's the silence in the car after a forced, polite dinner with friends. It's the space between you and bed that feels colder and wider than the Grand Canyon. And then the words come. Maybe they're screamed in a fit of rage, but more often they're whispered, almost like an apology. I'm not happy. I can't do this anymore. I want a divorce. And in that moment, the entire world you built, the foundation you stood on, turns to dust. It's a gut punch that knocks the air out of your lungs and the certainty out of your soul. And if you're like the vast majority of men in the United States, you never saw it coming. Statistics show that nearly 70% of divorces are initiated by women. For millions of men, the end of their marriage isn't a mutual decision. It's a verdict handed down without a trial. You feel blindsided, ambushed in your own home. And then the isolation begins. Your friends, your buddies, they try. They slap you on the back, they tell you you'll be better off. Or there are other fish in the sea. But they don't get it. They can't. Your family might mean well, but they start choosing sides whether they mean to or not. And the one person on this planet who knew you better than anyone, the person you built a life with, shared secrets with, raised children with, is suddenly the opposition. A stranger sitting across a lawyer's table. You're not just losing a wife. You're losing your identity. The husband. The provider. The family man. The guy who fixes the leaky faucet and mows the lawn on Saturdays. That entire script you've been living by your whole adult life has been ripped to shreds, and nobody, absolutely nobody, hands you a new one. You're left standing in the wreckage, completely alone. This is not another video about legal tactics. It's not about how to win your divorce. This is about something infinitely more important: how to survive it. And I don't mean just getting through the paperwork. I mean surviving the emotional onslaught that is coming for you. This is your roadmap through the hellscape of divorce, built specifically for the way a man's mind works. We are going to walk step by step through the entire emotional gauntlet. We'll start with the initial shock, that feeling of freefall when the floor disappears from under you. Then we will confront the blinding rage and the crushing grief that our culture tells you, as a man, you have no right to feel. We will navigate the soul-crushing loneliness, the loss of your home, the fear of losing your kids, and the death of the future you planned. And then, from that rock bottom, we will start to build. We will forge a path forward. We'll talk about rediscovering who you are when you're no longer someone's husband. We will talk about rebuilding your confidence from the ground up, and how to construct a new life that isn't a sad, pathetic shadow of your old one, but something stronger, more authentic, and entirely your own. Your new life doesn't start after the divorce is final. It starts right now by understanding what's happening to you. Let's talk about that first stage. The one you're probably in right now. The shock. The denial. It's ground zero of your emotional life. The bomb has gone off, and you're just standing there in the dust, ears ringing, unable to process the scale of the devastation. This is the autopilot phase. You get up. You go to work. You nod in meetings. You might even make small talk with a neighbor. But you're not really there. You're a ghost in your own life, running on a primal survival instinct you didn't even know you possessed. You feel a strange, dreamlike detachment, like you're watching a movie about someone else's life falling apart. This numbness, this brain fog, is not a sign of weakness. It's a biological imperative. Your mind has just been hit with a catastrophic emotional injury, and it's doing the only thing it can to protect you from the full impact. It's deploying an airbag. It's flooding your system with chemicals to numb the pain, to keep you from completely short-circuiting. This denial isn't you being stupid or naive. It's a psychological survival suit. The problem is, men are conditioned to be fixers. We see a problem, we find a solution. And so, in this state of shock, our instincts kick into overdrive in all the wrong ways. We fall into one of three traps. First, there's the fixer. This is the guy who thinks, okay, she's upset. I can fix this. What do I need to do? Plan a vacation? Buy a new car? Say I love you more? I'll do anything. I will work harder, I will be better. I can put this Humpty Dumpty back together again. But what the fixer fails to understand is that he's trying to patch a crack in the wall, when the foundation has already crumbled. Her decision wasn't made last night. It was likely made months, maybe even years ago. You're trying to solve a problem that, in her mind, is already over. Second, there's the ostrich. This is the guy who goes into total denial. This is just a fight. A bad one, sure. But she'll cool off. If I just ignore it, if I just act normal and pretend nothing happened, we'll get back to normal. The ostrich buys time. He avoids the immediate pain. But he's living on borrowed time in a fantasy world. While he's burying his head in the sand, a legal and financial freight train is barreling down the tracks right at him. His wife is talking to lawyers, separating bank accounts, and making plans for a future that he refuses to acknowledge even exists. And third, there's the negotiator. This is the man who tries to turn the most emotional crisis of his life into a business deal. Okay, what are your terms? What will it take to make you stay? Do you want me to quit my job? Do you want us to move? Let's make a deal. Let's find a compromise. He's trying to use logic and reason to solve a problem that is born of emotion and disconnection. He's trying to negotiate the terms of a contract when the other party has already declared it null and void. All three of these responses are completely normal. They are born from a desperate, primal need to restore order to a world that has descended into chaos. They are your brain's attempt to put the train back on the tracks. But here is the brutal, undeniable truth you have to accept. The train has already derailed. Staying in this state of shock and denial, trying to fix or ignore or negotiate your way out of it, is the single most dangerous thing you can do right now. It leaves you emotionally vulnerable and logistically defenseless. So what is the very first step? What is the one thing you must do right now while you're still numb and reeling from the impact? It's not to call the most aggressive lawyer in the phone book. It's not to start screaming or begging. It is one simple, powerful, and incredibly difficult act. You must acknowledge reality. I want you to find a place where you can be alone. Your car, your garage, a walk in the woods. And I want you to say the words out loud, not in your head. Out loud. My marriage is over. Say it again. My marriage is over. Feel the vibration of those words in your chest. Let the weight of them land on you. Don't run from it. Don't try to fix it. Just for a minute, let the devastating truth be real. This is not an act of surrender. This is not admitting defeat. This is the first strategic move in your own survival. It is the moment you stop reacting to the explosion and start assessing the battlefield. You cannot begin to navigate a storm until you first admit that you are in one. Because once you do, once you let that numbness of shock begin to recede, something else is going to rush in to fill that empty space. Something hot, powerful, and incredibly destructive if you don't learn how to handle it. Pure, unadulterated rage. And that's where our journey takes us next. This rage is not your everyday, garden variety anger. This isn't getting cut off in traffic. This isn't your team losing the big game. This is a 5-alarm fire in your soul. It's a primal scream that starts deep in your gut and claws its way up your throat. It feels like a physical presence, a hot, heavy weight on your chest, a pressure behind your eyes that makes you want to punch a wall until your knuckles bleed. And let's be brutally honest for a moment. Society, especially American society, gives men very few acceptable outlets for emotional pain. We're taught from the time we're boys to suck it up, to be strong, to not cry. But anger? Anger is often the one emotion we're allowed. It's seen as masculine, as powerful. So when we're faced with the profound, soul-crushing pain of our life falling apart, it's no wonder that all that grief, all that fear, all that confusion gets funneled into the one channel we know: rage. It becomes a suit of armor. Feels safer to be angry than to be heartbroken. Feels more powerful to be furious than to be terrified. But what is this rage, really? If you peel back the layers, it's not just one thing. It's a complex cocktail of poisons, and the first and most potent ingredient is the venom of betrayal. This is the person you built a life with. The person you shared your deepest secrets with, your dreams, your fears. The one you made vows to, in front of God and everyone you knew. You created a team, a partnership, a fortress against the world. And now that fortress has been breached from the inside. The person who held the keys just handed them over to the enemy. Or worse, they've become the enemy. Every shared memory, every inside joke, every quiet moment now feels tainted like a lie. You replay conversations in your head, searching for clues you missed, for warnings you ignored. It feels like a fundamental law of your universe has been broken. The trust you placed in this one person was the bedrock of your reality, and now that bedrock has been pulverized into dust. That feeling of being stabbed in the back by the one person you swore to protect, and who swore to protect you. That's an agony that burns hot enough to fuel a rage that can last for years. Then you mix in the second ingredient, a profound sense of injustice. This is where the anger often shifts from the personal to the systemic. You step into the world of lawyers and legal proceedings, and you quickly realize it's not about fairness. It's not about what's right. It's a game with a complex set of rules you don't understand, and it feels like the game is rigged from the start. You're told to document everything. You watch as your life's work, the home you built, the savings you scrimped for, is cataloged and put on a spreadsheet, ready to be divided like spoils of war. You hear terms like spousal support and asset division, and it feels like your entire identity as a provider is being weaponized against you. The very act of working hard to build a good life for your family can suddenly feel like a liability. And for the fathers out there, the fear is even more acute. The terror of losing time with your children, of being relegated to the status of a weekend dad, of having your relationship with your own kids mediated by courts and lawyers. It's enough to drive any man to the brink. You feel like you have to prove you're a good father, a competent human being, to a system that seems to start with the assumption that you are not. This powerlessness, this feeling of being caught in a machine that is grinding you down without any regard for your character or your contributions, creates a righteous, white-hot fury. It's the anger of a good man being treated like a criminal. This leads directly to the third, and perhaps most disorienting component of the rage, the complete annihilation of your identity. For so long, you were husband. You were part of a we. Your future was a shared path. Now all of that is gone. The name you answered to, the role you played at family gatherings, the future you were working towards, it's all been erased. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize the man staring back at you. Who is he without her? Who is he without that family unit? This identity crisis is terrifying. It's a freefall into the unknown. And anger is a response to that terror. It's a desperate attempt to hold on to something solid when the ground beneath your feet has vanished. If you don't know who you are, it's easier to be the angry guy than to be the lost guy. The anger gives you a temporary, albeit destructive, sense of purpose. But here is the hard truth that you have to understand. This rage, as justified as it may feel, is a trap. It's a hot coal that you are holding in your own hand. You think you're aiming it at your ex, at her lawyer, at the system. But the only person you are truly burning is yourself. Unchecked rage will poison every aspect of your life. It will cloud your judgment in legal negotiations, costing you money and time. It will leak out in front of your children, scaring them and damaging your relationship with them for years to come. It will destroy your health, jacking up your blood pressure, flooding your body with cortisol, and leaving you physically and emotionally exhausted. Your anger makes you predictable. It makes you easy to manipulate in court. A calm, rational man is a formidable opponent. An angry, reactive man is a pawn. Your ex's lawyer might even be counting on it, provoking you, pushing your buttons, waiting for you to lash out so they can paint you as unstable. So what do? You can't just suppress it. You can't just pretend it's not there. Trying to bottle up this kind of pressure is like trying to cap a volcano. It will find a way out and it will be explosive. The answer isn't to extinguish the fire. The answer is to transform it. You have to recognize the rage for what it is, a signal. It's a massive flashing neon sign telling you that you have been profoundly wounded. It is a source of immense energy. Right now, that energy is chaotic and destructive. But energy can be harnessed. It can be channeled. That fire that's threatening to burn your life to the ground can be redirected to forge something new, something stronger. It can become the fuel you use to get up in the morning and go to the gym. It can become the determination to be the best damn father your kids could ever ask for, no matter the circumstances. It can become the motivation to build a new life that is entirely your own. But before you can harness it, you have to face what's underneath it. You have to be willing to put down the armor of anger, even for a moment, and feel the wound it's protecting. Because when the fire of rage finally dies down, when you're too exhausted to keep fighting, you're left with what was there all along. A vast, terrifying emptiness. The cold, quiet, crushing weight of your actual loss. And navigating that void is the next, and perhaps the hardest stage of this entire journey. The first thing you notice is the silence. It's not just quiet. It's a physical presence. A weight in the air where noise used to be. The hum of her car pulling into the driveway. The sound of the TV playing a show you hated but tolerated. Her footsteps on the hardwood floor upstairs. All of it gone. Replaced by the loud hum of the refrigerator and the frantic, pointless beating of your own heart. You walk through the house you built together, a home that is now just a house. And it's a museum of a life that no longer exists. Her favorite mug is still in the cabinet. Her scent lingers on a pillow you haven't had the strength to wash. Every object is a landmine of memory. You open a drawer to find a screwdriver and instead find a concert ticket stub from 7 years ago. And suddenly you're sideswiped by a memory so vivid, so complete, that it physically hurts. It's like being haunted not by a ghost, but by the absence of a person who is still alive. This is the phase the experts call depression, but that word feels too clinical, too small for what this is. This is a hollowing out. It's waking up at 3 a.m. with a jolt of pure, uncut panic. The reality of your situation crashing down on you in the dark when there's no one to see you crumble. It's the feeling that your entire life's work, the person you structured your world around, has been bulldozed, and you're just standing in the rubble covered in dust, with no blueprint for what to build next. And the world keeps spinning. People go to work. The sun comes up. Your buddies call. And you hear the clinking of glasses and laughter in the background. And you have to force a sound out of your throat that resembles a normal human voice. Yeah, man, I'm doing all right. Just, taking it one day at a time. It's the biggest lie you'll ever tell, and you'll tell it 100 times. Because what are you supposed to say? Actually, Dave, I spent last night staring at a water stain on the ceiling for 3 hours because it was more interesting than the crushing void in my soul? No, you can't say that. Because we, as men, are taught from the time we're boys to be the rock, the provider, the one who has it all figured out. We're not supposed to break. We're supposed to fix things. But you can't fix this. There's no engine to tinker with, no broken shelf to nail back together. The very foundation has cracked. And the tools you've spent your whole life mastering are useless. Your strength feels like a costume. Your stoicism feels like a cage. And inside that cage, you are completely, terrifyingly alone. This is where the real loss of identity kicks in. For years, your answer to "who are you?" was tied to her. I'm her husband. I'm the guy who takes care of her. We are a unit. Your future was a shared picture. Retirement on a small piece of land. Watching grandkids splash in a pool. It was all a we. Suddenly, there is no we. There is only I. And that I feels like a stranger. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize the guy staring back. His eyes are tired. He hasn't shaved in 3 days. He's lost weight or maybe gained it from takeout and beer. He's the divorced guy. You go to a party, a barbecue with friends, and you feel like you're wearing a neon sign. People don't know what to say. The husbands clap you on the back a little too hard, a little too sympathetically. The wives look at you with a mixture of pity and a subtle unspoken fear, as if your divorce is a virus they might catch. The conversation stalls when you walk up. You are a living, breathing reminder of a worst-case scenario. And so you retreat. It's just easier to stay home. The silence of your house is painful, but it's less painful than the awkward silence of a room full of people who see you as a tragedy. Your body starts to keep score. The sleepless nights turn into chronic fatigue. The anxiety in your chest becomes a constant companion, a low-grade hum of dread. You might drink more than you should, not for the buzz, but for the blessed numbness, for a few hours where you don't have to think, don't have to feel the sharp edges of your new reality. Your health, the thing you always took for granted, starts to fray at the edges. Because the mind and the body are connected, and right now, your mind is at war with itself. In this deep, dark trench, a new and dangerous thought pattern begins to emerge. The what-ifs and the if-onlys. This is different from the bargaining phase. This is a forensic analysis of your own failure. You replay every argument, every missed opportunity, every time you chose work over a date night, every time you were emotionally distant when she needed you to be present. You sift through the wreckage, not looking for a way out, but for the exact moment it all went wrong. You become your own harshest critic, your own prosecutor and judge. And this is a critical, dangerous pivot point. Because for many men, this self-flagellation becomes a loop, a confirmation of a deep-seated fear. I wasn't good enough. I failed. It was my fault. This narrative is poison. It's a quicksand that will pull you under and keep you there, stuck in the past, unable to move forward. Yes, self-reflection is necessary. Acknowledging your part in the breakdown of the marriage is a sign of maturity. It's essential for growth. But there is a monumental difference between accountability and blame. Accountability says, I see my role in this and I can learn from it. Blame says, I am fundamentally flawed and I deserve this pain. One is a key to a new door. The other is a lock on your own cage. And for what feels like an eternity, you might be locked in that cage. The emptiness feels permanent. The grief feels like it will never end. You start to believe that this is just your life now, a gray, muted version of what it once was. You forget what it feels like to laugh without it feeling forced. You forget what it feels like to look forward to something, anything. Your world shrinks to the four walls of your house and the monotonous routine of just getting through another day. But then one day something shifts. It's not a lightning bolt. It's not a Hollywood movie moment. It's small, almost imperceptible. Maybe you're driving home from work and a song comes on the radio. A song that has nothing to do with her, with your past. And for 3 minutes you just listen. You don't analyze. You don't spiral into a memory. You just listen. And you tap your finger on the steering wheel. Or maybe you walk past a hardware store and on a whim you go in. You buy a small can of paint for that wall in the living room you both always meant to paint but never did. You go home and you spend a Saturday afternoon painting it. Not for her, not for anyone, but for you. And as you roll the new color over the old one, you feel a tiny flicker of something that isn't pain. It's not happiness, not yet. It's agency, control. The simple, profound act of changing something in your environment, of making a mark that is solely your own. It could be making a meal for yourself that she never liked. It could be calling up that one friend you haven't spoken to in months and actually telling him a little bit of the truth. It could be just sitting on your porch and noticing for the first time the way the sun sets behind the neighbor's tree. These moments are fragile. They can be swept away by a new wave of grief in an instant, but they are proof of life. They are the first green shoots pushing their way through the scorched earth. They are not a solution. They are not a cure, but they are a signal. A signal that the void, as vast and terrifying as it is, might not be infinite. It's a whisper in the deafening silence that says, "You are still here." And the quiet decision to listen to that whisper, to lean into that tiny, fragile feeling of possibility, is the first real step out of the darkness. It's the beginning of asking the most important and most terrifying question of all. What now? That question, what now, doesn't arrive with a clear-headed sense of new beginnings. It lands like a grenade in a library. Suddenly, the quiet despair is shattered by a deafening chaos of logistics. Your brain, desperate for a problem it can solve, latches onto the practical. It's a survival mechanism. You can't fix the gaping wound in your chest, but maybe you can find a one-bedroom apartment. You can't rewind time, but you can call a lawyer. And so begins the phase I call the triage. You're a battlefield medic for your own life, and everything is bleeding out at once. Suddenly, you're not just a husband or a father. You're a project manager for a demolition. The list starts, either on paper or just screaming in your head. Find a place to live. How do I even apply for a rental by myself? My credit is tied to hers. Separate the bank accounts. But which one? How do I stop the automatic payments? What about the mortgage? The car loan? I need to tell my boss. But what do I even say? How do I explain this without looking like a failure, like I can't handle my own life? And then the biggest one, the one that feels like a mountain made of glass, the kids. The question isn't just, how do I see my kids? It's 1,000 agonizing sub-questions. How do I tell them? How do I look them in the eye and break their world without breaking myself? How do I create a home for them in some sterile, sad apartment that smells like new paint and loneliness? How do I go from being dad, who's just there every night, to being dad on Tuesdays and every other weekend? The very phrase feels like a betrayal. This logistical whirlwind is a strange kind of blessing. It's all-consuming. It gives you a reason to get out of bed. Gives you tasks. You can put on your armor of competence and go to war with paperwork. You can spend hours on Zillow, on legal websites, on hold with the bank. You feel busy. And busy feels a lot like moving forward. Feels productive. But it's a dangerous illusion. It's the frantic activity of a man trying to outrun his own shadow. Because the tasks, they eventually end for the day. The phone calls are made. The emails are sent. And then silence. And in that silence, the ghosts come out. The first time you walk into your house, or the house that was your house, and it's truly officially empty of her presence, is a unique kind of horror. It's not just quiet. It's a loud screaming silence. Every empty space is a monument to what used to be there. The spot on the couch where she sat. The hook where her coat used to hang. The bathroom counter, suddenly vast and empty without her collection of bottles and creams. You'll open the fridge and see the brand of yogurt only she ate, and it will feel like a punch to the gut. You'll do laundry and realize you're only washing one person's clothes, and the simplicity of it will feel profane. Your body betrays you with its muscle memory. You'll wake up in the middle of the night and roll over, your arm reaching for a warmth that isn't there. And the cold sheets will jolt you awake with the full force of your new reality. You'll hear a car door slam outside, and for a split second, your heart will leap, thinking she's home from work, before the crushing weight of memory reminds you that, no, she isn't coming home. Ever. This is the phantom limb stage of divorce. A huge part of your life has been amputated, but your brain hasn't caught up. It keeps sending signals to a part of you that no longer exists. You see a movie trailer she would have loved, and you'll instinctively make a mental note to tell her about it. You'll have a great day at work, and your first impulse is to call her and share the news. Each of these moments is a tiny, fresh death. A reminder that the operating system of your life is now obsolete. And this is when another feeling starts to bubble up through the grief and the logistical panic. It's a hot, powerful, and strangely clarifying emotion. Anger. For many men, anger is a comfortable language. It's a language we're allowed to speak. Sadness feels vulnerable, fear feels weak, but anger feels like strength. Feels like getting your power back. And man, is there a lot to be angry about. First, you're angry at her. You replay every argument, every slight, every betrayal, real or imagined. Her words become venomous scripts you recite in your head. You dissect her flaws, you magnify her mistakes. You build a case against her in the court of your own mind, and you are the prosecutor, judge, and jury. This anger is a fortress. Inside its walls, you don't have to feel the pain of loss. You don't have to confront your own role in the collapse. You just have to feel righteous. You were wronged. You are the victim. And in a world where you feel utterly powerless, victimhood can feel like a solid identity to cling to. Then you get angry at the world. The system. Suddenly, you're dealing with lawyers who speak a different language, where your life is reduced to assets and liabilities. The legal process feels cold, impersonal, and brutally unfair. You get angry at your friends, the ones who try to help but say the wrong thing, like everything happens for a reason. Or, you'll be better off. You want to scream at them. Better off than what? This life I built? This family I loved? You get angry at the happily married friends. Their casual intimacy now a blinding spotlight on your own failure. Their laughter sounds like an insult. But the most corrosive anger, the one that lurks beneath all the others, is the anger you feel at yourself. Anger for not seeing it coming. Anger for the things you said, and for the things you didn't say. Anger for being the man who couldn't hold his family together. This self-loathing is a poison. It whispers to you in the dead of night that you are a failure, that you are unlovable, that you deserve this. And because that voice is so unbearable to listen to, you crank up the volume on all the other angers, at her, at the world, just to drown it out. This anger is a powerful fuel. It can get you out of bed when grief would keep you pinned down. It can make you fight for your rights, for your kids, for a fair settlement. It can give you a sense of purpose when everything else has been stripped away. In the short term, anger works. It's a shield against the crushing sadness and a weapon against the perceived injustices. It makes you feel like you're doing something, not just having something done to you. But it's a dirty fuel. It burns hot and fast, but it leaves a toxic residue on everything it touches. It can poison your relationship with your kids, turn divorce into a war, and keep you chained to the very past you're trying to escape. And living inside that fortress of rage, you eventually realize it wasn't built to keep others out. It was built to keep you in. And the thing about that prison, the fortress you've built brick by angry brick, is that it feels safe, feels justified. From inside those walls, the world is simple. There's a villain, your ex. There's a hero, you. Every memory is filtered through this lens. Every interaction is a battle in a war you've already decided you must win. You spend your days drafting emails that are masterpieces of passive aggression, rehearsing arguments in the shower, and replaying every perceived slight in a mental highlight reel that never stops. Your friends start to get a glazed-over look in their eyes when you bring it up for the 100th time, because you're not just telling a story anymore. You're living in it. You're marinating in the injustice. This rage, it's a powerful fuel. Gets you out of bed in the morning. It makes you feel strong when everything else makes you feel weak and discarded. It's a shield, a heavy spiked iron shield, and you hold it up against the world, daring anyone to get close, daring anyone to tell you to just get over it. Because in your mind, letting go of the anger means letting them win. It means what they did was okay. It means you're a fool. But no one can carry a shield that heavy forever. It's exhausting. The fuel eventually starts to run low. And one day something happens. It's never the big thing you expect. Something small, something random. Maybe you're in the grocery store and you walk past the brand of coffee she used to drink. Or a song comes on the radio, asterisk that asterisk song, the one from your wedding, and for a split second you forget you're supposed to hate it. Or maybe you're tucking your kid into bed in your new sterile apartment, and they ask a simple question like, "Does mommy miss this house?" And in that moment the shield doesn't just feel heavy, feels pointless. A crack appears. And through that crack, the thing the anger was holding back finally begins to flood in. It's not a tidal wave at first. It's a slow, cold leak. But it's relentless. This, my friend, is the arrival of grief. For many men, this is the most terrifying stage of all. Because anger feels active. Anger feels like strength. Grief feels like a surrender. Feels like defeat. We're taught from a young age that sadness is a weakness. Boys don't cry. Suck it up. Take it like a man. We learn to equate tears with fragility, sorrow with the lack of control. So when this profound, soul-crushing sadness finally breaks through our defenses, we have no idea what to do with it. We see it as a failure. We think we're breaking down. But you are not breaking down. You are breaking open. Grief is not the enemy. It is the path. It's the emotional process of metabolizing a loss. It's the soul's way of acknowledging a deep wound and beginning the slow, arduous work of healing it. To deny yourself the right to grieve is like getting a deep gash on your arm and just slapping a small bandage on it, pretending it's not there. It will fester. It will become infected. And it will poison everything. The first thing you have to understand is what you're actually grieving. So much more than just the loss of a person. You are grieving the death of a future. The one you spent years building in your mind. The retirement you planned together, the trips you were going to take, the image of growing old in that house. It's all gone. It has been amputated from your life. And you are left with the phantom pain of a future that will never be. You are grieving the loss of your identity. For years, you were a husband. You were part of a team, a unit. Your name was spoken in conjunction with hers. Mark and Sarah. It was a fundamental part of who you were, how you introduced yourself, how you moved through the world. And now, that part of your identity has been violently stripped away. You look in the mirror and you have to ask, who am I now? It's a terrifyingly blank space. You are grieving the loss of your family unit. The simple, profound comfort of coming home to a house that was full. The shared rituals, the inside jokes, the unspoken understanding. Even if the last few years were filled with conflict, there was still a structure. A container for your life. Now that container is shattered. The silence in your new apartment is deafening. The holidays are a logistical nightmare. The sense of belonging has been replaced by a profound sense of dislocation. And yes, you are grieving the loss of your companion, the person who knew your history, the one who was there when you got that promotion, who held your hand when your father died, who knew you hated onions and loved old black and white movies. Even if you grew to resent each other, that shared history is a bond, and its absence leaves a gaping hole. This grief doesn't always look like crying. Sometimes it does, and you should let it. Crying is not a weakness. It's a physiological release of stress and pain. It's your body's pressure relief valve. But grief can also manifest as a deep, unshakable exhaustion that has nothing to do with how much you've slept. It can feel like a fog in your brain, making it impossible to concentrate at work. It can show up as a complete loss of interest in things you used to love. Your hobbies, your friends, even food. It can be a constant, low-grade irritability where every little thing sets you on edge. It can even be physical pain, headaches, stomach problems, a literal ache in your chest that feels like your heart is actually breaking. Society gives women permission to grieve. They gather with their friends, they talk, they cry, they support each other. For men, the script is different. We're expected to isolate, to be strong, to bury it and move on. Our friends might pat us on the back, buy us a beer and say, "Her loss, man. Plenty of fish in the sea." They mean well. But what they're really saying is, "Please don't show me your pain. It makes me uncomfortable." So we push it down. We try to outrun it with work, or numb it with alcohol, or bury it under meaningless encounters. We try to skip this stage. But grief is a debt that must be paid. The longer you put it off, the more interest it accrues. Unprocessed grief doesn't disappear. It metastasizes. It turns into long-term bitterness. It becomes a cynical armor that prevents you from ever trusting anyone again. It becomes the baggage you carry into every future relationship, sabotaging them before they even have a chance to begin. You end up hurting new people with your old wounds. Honoring your grief is one of the bravest things you will ever do. It means sitting in the uncomfortable silence. It means allowing yourself to feel the full weight of your loss without judgment. It means accepting that for a while you are not going to be okay, and that is okay. It's not a step backward. It's the quiet, unseen work of healing. It's the process of letting go, not of the memories but of the pain attached to them. This isn't about wallowing in self-pity. It's about acknowledging a reality. A huge part of your life has ended. It deserves to be mourned. You have to hold a funeral for the life you thought you were going to have. You have to stand at the graveside of your marriage and say goodbye. Not with anger, not with blame, but with the profound and dignified sadness it deserves. Because until you honor the death of your old life, you can never truly be resurrected into your new one. And so you stand there, in the quiet after the funeral. The eulogy has been given. The chapter has been closed. But now comes the silence. This is a silence that most men are completely unprepared for. It's not just the absence of sound. It's the absence of a life. It's the deafening quiet of a house that used to be a home. It's the cold side of the bed. It's the phantom limb of reaching for her in the middle of the night. It's walking past a restaurant you both loved and feeling a physical punch to the gut. This is the void. And in this void, a man is faced with a terrifying freedom and an even more terrifying emptiness. Every routine, every habit, every inside joke, every shared glance that said 1,000 words, it's all been amputated. Your identity, which was so deeply intertwined with being a husband, a partner, a part of a we, is now just you. And I. And that I feels foreign, feels weak, feels incomplete. This is the most dangerous phase of the entire journey, because the void hates a vacuum. It demands to be filled. And most men, driven by a primal fear of this emptiness, will try to fill it with anything they can get their hands on. This leads them down one of two well-worn destructive paths. The first path is the path of the numbing agent. This is the man who sprints away from the pain. He dives headfirst into a bottle of whiskey, a string of meaningless one-night stands, 12-hour days at the office, or the hypnotic glow of a video game screen until 3 a.m. He's running. He's trying to outrun the silence. He surrounds himself with noise, with distraction, with fleeting pleasure. He tells himself he's getting back out there, that he's moving on. But he's not moving on, he's just moving. He's a ghost haunting a different bar every night, a different woman's bed, a different project at work. The problem with the numbing agent is that it's a temporary fix for a permanent change. The moment the alcohol wears off, the moment he wakes up alone, the moment the project is finished, the void is still there, waiting. And now it's bigger because he's wasted precious time and energy he could have used to actually heal. He hasn't filled the void. He's just wallpapered over it. And that wallpaper is thin. The second path is the path of the hermit. This is the man who doesn't run from the void. He lets it swallow him whole. He retreats from the world. He stops answering calls from his friends. He lets his apartment become a cave. The dishes pile up, the laundry goes undone. He isolates himself because he believes his pain is a private shame, a failure that no one else could possibly understand. He tells himself he just needs time, but time in isolation doesn't heal, it festers. The void becomes his entire world. He replays every argument, every mistake, every missed opportunity in an endless, torturous loop. He becomes a prisoner of his own memory, locked in a cell of regret and self-pity. This man isn't just grieving the death of his marriage. He's presiding over the slow, quiet death of himself. Both paths, the numbing agent and the hermit, are born from the same place. A deep-seated terror of confronting the man in the mirror. A terror of sitting alone in a quiet room and asking the hardest question of all. Without her, who am I? But there is a third path. It's not the easiest path. In fact, it's the hardest. It's the path of reconstruction. Notice I didn't say rebuilding. You cannot rebuild what was destroyed. You can't go back. The old blueprints are burned. Reconstruction is about salvaging the materials from the wreckage and building something entirely new. It's about creating a new blueprint for a new life. And the very first step on this path is not to build but to take inventory. Before a single new wall can go up, you have to walk through the rubble of your old life and see what's left. This isn't a financial inventory. That comes later. This is a personal, spiritual, and emotional inventory. You need to get a brutally honest assessment of your raw materials. Get a pen. Get a piece of paper. And in the quiet of that empty house, you start asking the questions you've been avoiding. Who were you before you met her? What did you love to do? Did you play guitar? Did you hike? Did you love to work on old cars? Did you have a group of friends you used to play poker with every Thursday? Write it down. Be specific. Remember the feeling of joy those things brought you, a joy that was yours and yours alone. So much of that gets lost in the compromise and routine of marriage. It's not her fault, it's not your fault, it's just what happens. But now it's time to excavate those lost passions. They are part of your foundation. Next question. What parts of being a husband did you actually love, and what parts were you just performing? Maybe you loved cooking breakfast on Sunday mornings, but you hated going to her company parties. Maybe you loved coaching your kids' soccer team, but you dreaded the forced small talk with the other parents. This isn't about blame. It's about data collection. You are separating the authentic parts of you that thrived in the relationship from the inauthentic roles you played to keep the peace or meet expectations. The goal is to keep the gold and discard the lead. And the hardest question: what were your contributions to the failure of the marriage? This is not self-flagellation. This is radical ownership. Forget what she did for a moment. Forget her affair, her spending, her emotional distance. That's her inventory to take, not yours. What's on your side of the ledger? Were you emotionally unavailable? Did you stop listening? Did you prioritize work over your family? Did you let yourself go physically and mentally? Did you stop being the man she fell in love with? You must look at this without flinching. Because every weakness you identify is an opportunity for growth. Every mistake you own is a brick you can use to build a stronger foundation for your new life, ensuring you never repeat the same patterns again. This process of taking inventory is the act of turning the terrifying question, "Who am I?" into a practical, manageable project. Let's find out who I am. It transforms you from a victim of circumstance into an architect of your future. You don't have to solve everything at once. The goal is not to have a 5-year plan by next Tuesday. The goal is to take one small, deliberate action. Just one. Look at your list of lost passions. You used to love fishing? This Saturday, don't sit on the couch and numb out. Go to the store, buy a simple rod and some bait, and go sit by a lake for an hour. You don't even have to catch anything. The point is to be in motion. The point is to make a conscious choice that is for you and about you. You see an old friend's name on your list? Pick up the phone. Don't text. Call. And when he asks how you're doing, try telling him 1% of the truth. Just say, "Man, it's been rough." You'll be stunned at how that little crack of vulnerability can let the light in. This is how you begin to fill the void. Not with noise and distraction, but with intention. You fill it with pieces of yourself that you are reclaiming. Each small action is a declaration. It's a statement that says, "I am still here. My life is not over. I am the one holding the hammer and the nails now." You are taking stock of the man you were, the man you became, and the man you have the potential to be. But a man cannot build a new world alone, locked in his workshop. The inventory is done in solitude, but the construction must happen in the world. The next, and perhaps most treacherous step, is re-engaging with that world, your friends, your family, and eventually the very idea of new relationships. And how you do that will determine whether your new foundation is built on solid rock or on shifting sand. The first thing you will discover is that your social circle is about to go through a brutal, unforgiving filter. It's a process of social alchemy, where the heat and pressure of your divorce will reveal what your friendships were truly made of. Some were gold. Many you'll find were just gold-plated. You'll have the couple friends, the ones you and your ex-wife always hung out with. Suddenly, a simple invitation to a barbecue becomes a complex geopolitical calculation. They feel like they have to choose a side, and even if they don't, the dynamic is shattered. The easy laughter is replaced by awkward silences. They don't know what to say to you. They don't know if they're allowed to mention her name. So, more often than not, they just stop calling. The invitations dry up. It's not always malicious. It's just easier for them to let you drift away. Then you have the friends who will simply ghost you. These are the ones who can't handle the messiness, the raw emotion. Your pain is a mirror, and they don't like the reflection. Your divorce reminds them of the fragility of their own lives, their own relationships, and that's a terrifying thought. So they vanish, and it will hurt. A lot. It's a secondary betrayal, a kick while you're already down. The man who was your best man at your wedding might suddenly be too busy to grab a beer. The guy you spent every Sunday with watching football now leaves your texts on read. And this is the critical moment. You can view this as a tragedy, as more proof that your world is collapsing. Or you can see it for what it is, the great filter. Your divorce didn't destroy these friendships. It revealed their true nature. It burned away the superficial connections and left behind the bedrock. The friends who remain, the ones who call just to say, "Hey man, thinking of you." The ones who don't pry but just sit with you in silence. The ones who drag you out of the house for a hike even when you just want to wallow. These are your true tribe. These are the men and women who are not your friends out of convenience or social obligation. They are your friends because they are invested in you, not the unit you once were. Your job now is to honor that. Lean on them, yes. Be vulnerable. Tell them you're not okay. But do not, under any circumstances, become a black hole of misery. They are your friends, not your therapists. They have their own lives, their own struggles. The temptation is to make every conversation about the divorce, to relitigate every argument, to analyze every text message. Do this too often, and even your most loyal friends will start to pull back. They'll feel helpless and eventually exhausted. The key to rebuilding is reciprocity. Ask them how they are doing. Ask about their job, their kids, their own struggles. Be a friend back. Show up for them. This isn't just for their benefit. It's a crucial step in reminding yourself that you are more than just a divorced guy. You are a friend, a brother, a son. Your identity is a mosaic, and the divorce is just one tile. Don't let it become the whole picture. Navigating family is an even more complicated battlefield. Your parents, your siblings, they love you, but their love is not impartial. They have known you your whole life. They saw you fall in love. They were at your wedding. They have their own relationship with your ex. And now they are watching their son, their brother, in immense pain. This puts them in an impossible position, and men often make one of two critical mistakes here. The first is turning a parent into a confessor. You call your mom every night and unload every ounce of your anger, your grief, your bitterness. You paint your ex as a villain because you need someone to validate your pain. And your mom, because she loves you, will take your side. She will absorb your anger, and it will become her anger. The problem is, long after you've started to heal and move on, she will still hold on to that anger for you. If you have kids, she may let that bitterness poison her relationship with their mother, creating a toxic environment for everyone. You've outsourced your emotional processing, and in doing so, you've burdened the person who loves you most and potentially created a long-term family crisis. The second mistake is the opposite, the stoic stone wall. You say, "I'm fine," when you're clearly drowning. You shut them out completely, believing you're protecting them from your pain. But you're not. You're just forcing them to imagine the worst. They see the weight loss, the dark circles under your eyes, the forced smiles. Their worry turns into a frantic, helpless anxiety. By trying to be the strong, silent type, you create a chasm of silence and fear. The right path is the middle way. Honest, but with boundaries. It sounds like this: "Mom, Dad, this is the hardest thing I've ever been through. I'm hurting, but I don't want to turn you against her. We have to co-parent, and I need this to be as peaceful as possible for the kids. What I need from you right now isn't advice or for you to pick a side. I just need you to listen when I'm having a bad day, and to remind me that I'm loved." You're being honest about your pain, but you're also setting a clear, healthy boundary. You are defining the kind of support you actually need rather than letting them guess. This protects them, it protects you, and most importantly, it protects your children's future. And then, after you've navigated the minefields of friends and family, the biggest temptation of all will emerge from the fog. The pull towards a new relationship. The siren song of the rebound. Your self-esteem is shattered. Your sense of desirability is at an all-time low. You feel like a failure. And then a woman shows you attention. She laughs at your jokes. She touches your arm. She looks at you like you're not broken. And the feeling is intoxicating. It's a drug. It's a powerful, potent dose of validation that temporarily numbs the gaping wound in your chest. This is the most dangerous ground you will walk. Because what you're seeking isn't a partner. It's a painkiller. You're not trying to build something new. You're trying to patch a hole in the old foundation. It's like putting a beautiful new painting on a wall that's riddled with termites. It looks good for a while, but the underlying structure is rotten, and it's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down. You haven't done the work. You haven't figured out who you are on your own. You haven't mourned what you've lost. You're simply using another person's affection as a temporary fix. It is profoundly unfair to her. She's meeting you, thinking she's starting a story on page 1, but you're still trying to rewrite the ending of your last book. You're not present. You're comparing her to your ex, either consciously or unconsciously. You're seeking the comfort of a relationship without being ready for the responsibility of one. And when the initial validation wears off, and the real hard work of building a connection begins, you'll panic. You'll retreat, and you will leave another person wounded in your wake, reinforcing your own narrative that you are a failure at relationships. The antidote to the rebound is one of the most counterintuitive, but essential steps in this entire journey. You must learn to date yourself. I don't mean that in some cheesy self-help poster kind of way. I mean it literally. Intentionally spend time alone, and learn to enjoy your own company. Take yourself to that steakhouse you always wanted to try. Go to a concert by yourself. Buy one ticket to a movie, sit in the best seat, and eat the entire bucket of popcorn without having to share. Plan a solo weekend trip. Go camping. Visit a city you've never seen. First, it will feel incredibly awkward. You'll feel the phantom weight of a person next to you who isn't there. You'll feel like everyone in the restaurant is staring at the lonely divorced guy. They're not. Nobody cares. This discomfort is the feeling of growth. You are actively rewiring your brain to understand that your happiness is not dependent on another person. You are teaching yourself that you are enough. You are a whole person, not one half of a couple. You are building a new foundation, one based on self-reliance, self-respect, and a genuine enjoyment of your own life. Only when you are genuinely whole on your own, when your sense of self is no longer a gaping wound but a healing scar, can you even begin to think about sharing your life with someone else. Because the next chapter isn't about finding someone to complete you. It's about finding someone who appreciates you, complete. And that journey, the journey back to dating when you are truly ready, is a minefield of its own. Life with someone else. Because the next chapter isn't about finding someone to complete you. It's about finding someone who appreciates you, complete. And that journey, the journey back to dating when you are truly ready, is a minefield of its own. A minefield where every step feels uncertain. The rules have changed. You have changed. The last time you were single, maybe you were in college. Maybe you met your ex-wife through a friend at a barbecue. The dating world back then was analog. It was simpler. Now it's a digital labyrinth of swipes, profiles, and ghosting. It feels less like meeting people and more like casting a net into a vast, indifferent ocean, hoping you pull up something other than an old boot. The first and most critical question isn't, where do I meet someone? It's, am I actually ready? And loneliness is a terrible compass. Loneliness will tell you you're ready when all you're really looking for is a distraction. A warm body to fill the cold side of the bed. A way to prove to yourself, to your ex, to the world that you're still desirable. That you've won the breakup. But dating to prove a point is like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. It only makes the dehydration worse. True readiness isn't a date on a calendar. It's not 6 months or a year after the papers are signed. It's a feeling. It's when you can sit alone in your own space, on a quiet Tuesday night, and feel a sense of peace, not panic. It's when the thought of a new relationship excites you because of the potential for connection, not because it's an escape from your own company. It's when you're looking for a partner to share your already built life with, not a contractor to help you build a new one from scratch. When you do step out there, the landscape is jarring. Dating apps can feel like a meat market, a constant audition based on 6 photos and a witty bio you probably had a friend help you write. The sheer volume of choice is paralyzing. You match with someone, exchange a few pleasantries, and then silence. They're gone. Vanished. It's called ghosting, and it's not personal even though it feels like a dagger to the ego. It's a symptom of a culture of disposability. Your job is not to fix that culture. It's to learn how to navigate it without letting it crush your spirit. And then comes the conversation. The one you dread. The "so what's your story?" moment. How do you talk about your divorce? How do you distill years of a shared life, a painful ending, and the complex reality of co-parenting into a palatable first date summary? Here's the rule. Be honest but not exhaustive. You're not on a therapist's couch, you're on a date. Saying "I'm divorced" is a fact. Launching into a 20-minute monologue about how your ex-wife never appreciated you and bled you dry is a red flag the size of a stadium banner. It signals that you are not over it, that you are defined by your bitterness. The best approach is one of ownership and grace. Something like, "I was married for 15 years. We grew into different people and ultimately it didn't work out. It was tough, but we're both focused on co-parenting our kids now." It's concise. It shows maturity. It demonstrates that you've processed the pain rather than just marinating in it. How you speak about the mother of your children is a direct reflection of your character. Even if the split was acrimonious, speak of her with a baseline of respect in front of a new potential partner. She is, after all, a permanent fixture in your life through your kids. A woman of substance isn't looking for a man who can tear down his ex. She's looking for a man who has the strength to build something new. And then there are the kids. This isn't just a detail. It is the central, non-negotiable reality of your new life. Your kids are not baggage. They are your heart living outside your body. And protecting that heart is your primary mission. This is the part where so many men get it wrong. Driven by the excitement of a new romance, they rush the introduction. They're so eager to blend their new happiness with their family life that they create a collision. Let me be crystal clear. The timeline for introducing a new partner to your children is determined by your children's emotional well-being, not the new relationship's momentum. It doesn't matter if you've been dating for 6 months or a year. It doesn't matter if you think she's the one. If your kids are still struggling with the divorce, if they are still adjusting to 2 homes, if they are fragile, you wait. Period. When the time is right, it's not a surprise announcement. It's not, "Hey kids, this is Susan, she'll be joining us for dinner." It's a slow, deliberate process. Starts with conversations. "You know, I've been spending some time with a friend named Susan. She's really nice and I like her a lot." You gauge their reaction. You answer their questions. You reassure them over and over that they are your number one priority, that no one will ever replace their mother. The first meeting should be short, casual, and in a neutral, low-pressure environment. A trip for ice cream, a walk in the park, an hour, maybe 2. It's not about them becoming best friends overnight. It's about creating a positive, low-stakes first impression. Your job is to be the calm, stable center of this new dynamic. You are the bridge between your past and your future, and that bridge needs to be rock solid. A potential partner who pressures you on this, who doesn't understand the fierce, protective instinct you have for your children, is showing you exactly who they are. And they are not the right person for you. This new dating world also comes with its own financial pressures. After a divorce, money is often tight. You might be paying alimony or child support. You're running a separate household. The idea of expensive dinners and weekend getaways can seem impossible. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you need to spend a lot of money to impress someone. Authenticity is far more valuable than extravagance. A well-thought-out picnic in the park, a hike to a beautiful view, cooking a meal together. These things create connection in a way that a $500 dinner tab never can. Be upfront about your financial reality without being a victim. It's not about being cheap. It's about being smart and creative. The right person will respect your responsibility, not resent your budget. Ultimately, the biggest hurdle in post-divorce dating is your own fear. The fear of being vulnerable again. The fear of making the same mistakes. The fear of getting your heart shattered into a million pieces for a second time. It's a rational fear. You've been through the fire and you have the scars to prove it. It's tempting to build walls to keep people at a safe distance, to engage on a superficial level so you can't get hurt. But a life lived behind walls is a life half-lived. The goal isn't to find someone who won't hurt you. That's impossible. People are imperfect, and pain is a part of any meaningful relationship. The goal is to find someone who is worth the risk. Someone whose presence in your life is so enriching that the potential for pain is a risk you are willing to take. This journey isn't just about finding a new partner. It's a journey of rediscovery. Every date, good or bad, teaches you something about yourself. It clarifies what you want, what you need, and what you absolutely will not tolerate ever again. You are not the same man who got married all those years ago. You are stronger. You are wiser. You have a deeper understanding of what truly matters. This isn't about finding someone to fill a void. It's about finding someone who fits into the incredible, resilient, and whole life you are now building for yourself. And that new life, built on a foundation of self-awareness and hard-won wisdom, is where true, lasting happiness is found. But that new life, for millions of American men, isn't a solo act. It comes with the single most complex, emotionally charged, and non-negotiable responsibility you will ever face: co-parenting. If you thought the divorce was the final battle, you were wrong. The divorce was just the treaty negotiation. Co-parenting is the long, arduous, and infinitely more important work of building a lasting peace. And let's be brutally honest, it can feel like a minefield. Every interaction with your ex-wife can feel loaded, a potential trigger for old wounds, a spark that could reignite a fight you thought was long over. The resentment, the hurt, the anger. It doesn't just vanish when the judge's gavel falls. It lingers. And if you let it, it will poison the one thing you and she are still meant to protect together: your children. This is where the most radical mindset shift of your entire journey has to occur. You must stop thinking of her as your ex-wife. That relationship is over. It failed. Mourn it, learn from it, but release it. You must now see her as your business partner. And the name of the business is Raising Healthy and Resilient Kids Incorporated. This is not a partnership of love or romance. It's a partnership of purpose. You don't have to like your business partner. You don't have to be friends with them. You don't have to agree on their life choices. But you absolutely must communicate effectively, act professionally, and keep your eye on the bottom line. And the bottom line is your children's well-being. Your personal feelings about her are now irrelevant to the mission. Your anger about the past is a liability to the company. Your need to be right is a threat to your most valuable assets. So, how do you operate this new business? With strict protocols and unwavering discipline. First, communication gets an overhaul. The long, emotional phone calls or text chains that devolve into arguments are fired. You institute a new communication policy. For logistics, pickup times, doctor's appointments, soccer practice, you use a shared tool. A co-parenting app like Our Family Wizard or even a simple shared Google Calendar. It's a neutral fact-based zone. It strips the emotion out of the equation. The calendar doesn't care who was late last week. It just states that pickup is at 5 p.m. on Friday. For any communication that requires words, you adopt the BIF method. Brief, informative, friendly, and firm. Let's break that down. Brief, 3 or 4 sentences max. No long-winded essays about your feelings. Informative. It contains only the necessary facts. Friendly. It starts with a simple hi and ends with a thanks. It's basic professional courtesy. It's not warm, it's not inviting, it's just polite. It de-escalates conflict before it can even start. Firm. It clearly states your position or the necessary information without being aggressive. An example. Hi Jane, just a heads up. Billy has a dentist appointment next Tuesday at 3 p.m. I can take him, but he might be 15 minutes late for the exchange. Let me know if that's an issue. Thanks, John. That's it. It's boring. And in co-parenting, boring is beautiful. Boring is peace. The second pillar of this new business is presenting a united front. To your children, you and their mother are the co-op. They can never ever see a crack in the leadership. This is non-negotiable. You will never speak ill of their mother in front of them. I don't care what she did. I don't care how justified you feel. When you insult their mother, you are insulting the 50% of them that comes from her. You are tearing at the very fabric of their identity and forcing them to choose sides. A loyalty test that no child should ever have to endure. You take the high road every single time. If you need to vent, you call your brother, your therapist, or your best friend. But to your kids, their mother is their mother, and you will respect that role even if you no longer respect the person. When it comes to major decisions, discipline, screen time rules, bedtimes, you and your co-CEO hold your board meetings in private. You hash out your disagreements away from the employees. Then, you present the decision as a unified policy. Your mother and I have decided that your new bedtime is 9 p.m. The message it sends is powerful. We are still a team when it comes to you. The foundation may have cracked, but the roof over your head is still solid. This new structure you're building requires flexibility. The custody agreement is the steel frame, the legal blueprint. But life is messy. Kids get sick. Cars break down. Things happen. If your business partner calls and says she's stuck in traffic and will be 30 minutes late, you don't start the timer and threaten to call your lawyer. You say, "No problem, drive safe." You show grace. Because this isn't about winning points or catching her in a mistake. It's a long-term investment in goodwill. The grace you extend today is the grace you will likely need tomorrow. By being rigid and adversarial, you create a war of attrition where the only casualties are your children, caught in the crossfire. As this new dynamic solidifies, you'll begin to redefine what family even means. A family is not a building. It's not 4 walls and a mortgage. A family is a system of love and support. Divorce doesn't end the family. It just changes its shape. It now has 2 headquarters. And your job is to make your headquarters the best, most stable, most loving home it can be. This means you must obliterate the stereotype of the Disneyland dad. The dad who only shows up for the fun stuff, who feeds the kids pizza and ice cream for a weekend and then hands them back, hyped up on sugar, with none of their homework done. That is not a father. That is an entertainer. Your home must be a real home. With rules. With chores. With expectations. With homework help and scrape knees and difficult conversations. Consistency is the currency of security for a child of divorce. If they have a set of rules at their mom's house, you should strive to have similar rules at yours. Structure creates safety in a world that has suddenly felt very unsafe to them. But more than anything, you must be present. When they are with you, be with them. Put your phone away. The emails can wait. The world can wait. These moments are finite. Create new rituals that belong only to you and them. Pancake Saturdays. Friday night movie marathons. A secret handshake. These small, repeated acts of connection are the threads you use to reweave the fabric of their security. You are showing them, through your actions, that your love is not dependent on a marriage certificate. It is unconditional and unwavering. And eventually, a new person may enter your life. And this is perhaps the most delicate operation in the entire post-divorce experience. Introducing a new partner to your children. The cardinal rule here is to go slow. Glacially slow. First, the relationship must be serious. Your kids are not a focus group for your dating life. They should never be introduced to a revolving door of women. It's confusing and deeply destabilizing. They've already lost one family unit. Don't make them feel like they're constantly auditioning new members who never stick around. When the time is right, when you are in a committed long-term relationship, the first person you tell is not your kids. It's your co-parent, your business partner. You give her a heads up. This isn't asking for permission. It is a strategic act of respect. It prevents her from being blindsided, from hearing it from the kids and reacting out of shock or fear, which can inadvertently taint the children's perception. You simply say, "I wanted to let you know I've been seeing someone for a while. It's serious, and I'm planning to introduce her to the kids in the near future." The introduction itself should be low stakes and casual. A brief meeting for ice cream or at a park. An hour tops. It's not a sleepover. It's not a family dinner. It's a simple, "Hey kids, this is my friend Sarah." Let it be their idea to ask more questions. Let that new relationship develop organically at their pace. And make it crystal clear, to your kids and your new partner, that her role is not to be a replacement mom. They have a mom. Her role is to be your partner, and a kind, supportive adult in their lives. This entire process, co-parenting, redefining family, navigating new relationships, is the ultimate test of your growth. It's the final exam of your emotional journey. It demands that you put your ego, your pain, and your pride aside for a higher purpose. It's about transforming the wreckage of your past into the foundation of your children's future. This isn't just about managing a difficult situation. It's about architecting a new legacy for your children, one built not on a broken home, but on two strong, loving ones. And now you stand in the quiet aftermath, holding the blueprints for this new architecture. The question is no longer if you can build, but what you will build. This is the final and perhaps most crucial phase of this entire journey. The reconstruction of you. For too long, you've been in survival mode. You've been a fighter in the legal arena, a crisis manager for your children, a financial strategist navigating a minefield. You've done what you had to do, but survival is not the destination. It's the base camp from which you begin your ascent to a new summit. The man who merely survives his divorce remains defined by it forever. He is the divorced guy, a walking monument to a past failure. The man who thrives, however, integrates the experience. It becomes a part of his story, a chapter that forged him, but it does not become his entire identity. Thriving is a conscious choice. It's the decision to say, "This event will not be the period at the end of my sentence. It will be the comma that precedes the most incredible part of my story." This process forces a fundamental reevaluation of what it means to be a man, what it means to be successful. For years, your identity was likely intertwined, if not completely fused, with your role as a husband and provider in a specific family structure. The house, the wife, the 2.5 kids, the shared holidays, these were the external markers of success. And when that structure crumbles, it feels like your very identity has been demolished along with it. But this is a profound illusion. You were a man before you were a husband, and you are a man now. The challenge and the incredible opportunity is to redefine success on your own terms. Success is no longer a perfect family portrait on the mantle. Success is looking your kids in the eye and knowing you showed up with integrity and love, even when it was excruciating. Success is waking up in the morning, in a place that is yours alone, and feeling a sense of peace, not panic. Success is looking in the mirror and respecting the man looking back, not because of his marital status, but because of his character, his resilience, and his refusal to be broken by the storm. This is the shift from an external scorecard to an internal compass. And when you navigate by that internal compass, you become truly unstoppable. Think of yourself as a blacksmith. Your life, your identity, your heart. It's all been thrown into the forge. The fire of divorce is unbearably hot. It's designed to melt things down, to burn away impurities, to reveal the raw material underneath. In the heat of it, all you feel is the pain, the searing agony of being reshaped. But the master blacksmith knows that this fire is necessary. It's what softens the steel enough to be hammered into something new. Every painful conversation, every lonely night, every legal bill. It's a strike of the hammer. It's loud, it's violent, it's disorienting. But it is not random destruction. It is shaping you. It is beating out the weaknesses, the compromises you made that dimmed your own light, the parts of yourself you lost along the way. And now, as the fire begins to cool, you are being plunged into the water. This is the tempering. This is where your new strength is locked in. You emerge from this process harder, sharper, and more resilient than you ever were before. The man who went into the fire is not the man who comes out. The man who comes out knows the true measure of his own strength, because he has felt the hottest flames and has not been consumed. He has been forged. So how do you begin to live as this new man? You start by deliberately and methodically rebuilding your world, not as a replica of the old one, but as a headquarters for your new life. First, reclaim your passions. What did you love to do before you were a wee? Was it hiking, playing the guitar, working on that old car, rebuilding a motorcycle? Go do that. Right now. Schedule it. This isn't a frivolous distraction. It is a vital act of self-reclamation. It's about reconnecting with the core of who you are. The man who exists independently of any relationship. These activities are threads back to your authentic self. Pull on them. Second, and this is non-negotiable, you must build your tribe. The myth of the lone wolf is a lie that has destroyed countless men. The stoic, silent suffering is not a sign of strength. It's a path to despair. You need a band of brothers. Reach out to your old friends, the ones you may have neglected. Be honest with them. Say the words, "I'm going through a hard time. I could use a friend." You will be shocked by how many men are waiting, even desperate, for that kind of authentic connection. Seek out other men who have walked this path. Men's groups, support networks, even a regular poker night or pickup basketball game. Find your people. These men will not let you fall. They will hold you accountable, they will call you on your bullshit, and they will be the first to celebrate your victories. Your ex-wife may have been your primary, or even sole source of emotional support. That system is gone. You must build a new one, a stronger, more diversified one. True strength is not needing no one. It's having a circle of trusted allies you can depend on. Third, commit to radical self-improvement. This is your time. Treat yourself like a high-performance project. Get your physical house in order. Hit the gym, not for revenge but for revitalization. Feel the power of your own body again. Clean up your diet. See how clarity of mind follows clarity of nutrition. Get your mental house in order. If you haven't already, find a therapist. It's not a weakness. It's the ultimate power move. It's like hiring a world-class coach to help you analyze the game tape of your life and design better plays for the future. Read books. Learn a new skill. Take a course. Your brain has been saturated with stress and cortisol for months, maybe years. Flood it with new information, new ideas, new possibilities. You are building a new foundation, and it must be strong in body, mind, and spirit. And eventually, you will think about dating again. The key here is to approach it from a position of wholeness, not emptiness. Do not seek a woman to fix you, to complete you, or to fill the void left by your marriage. That is a recipe for repeating the same mistakes. The work you are doing now, reclaiming your passions, building your tribe, improving yourself, is the very work that makes you a whole person on your own. Date when you are happy being alone. Date when you are looking for a partner to share your already awesome life with, not a person to create a life for you. Be brutally honest with yourself about the lessons you learned from your marriage. What were the red flags you ignored? What was your role in the breakdown? An unexamined failure is doomed to be repeated. Go into the dating world with wisdom, with clear boundaries, and with a renewed sense of what you truly want and deserve in a partner. Finally, the last and highest peak to climb on this journey is the mountain of forgiveness. And it's a dual peak summit. You must forgive her, and you must forgive yourself. Forgiving her does not mean you condone what happened. Doesn't mean you have to be friends. It doesn't mean the pain wasn't real or the injustice wasn't profound. Forgiveness is not for her. It is for you. It is the act of willingly drinking the antidote to the poison of bitterness that is eating you alive. Holding on to rage and resentment is like holding a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Forgiveness is you setting down that coal. It's you saying, I will no longer allow my past to contaminate my future. I release this. And then you must turn that grace inward. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you made, for the words you said in anger, for the things you didn't do, for not seeing the signs, for staying too long, or for not fighting hard enough. You did the best you could with the tools and knowledge you had at the time. You are human. Self-blame is an anchor that will keep you moored in the harbor of regret forever. Cut the rope. You have paid your penance through the suffering you've endured. It is time to accept your own humanity, your own imperfection, and grant yourself the same pardon you would grant a good friend. The end of your marriage is not the end of your story. It is the end of a chapter. A brutal, heartbreaking, transformative chapter. But now you hold the pen. The pages ahead are blank. You get to decide what happens next. The legacy you leave for your children will not be the story of a broken home. It will be the epic tale of a father who faced the abyss, who was shattered into 1,000 pieces, and who painstakingly put himself back together, stronger and more authentic than before. They will see a man who transformed his greatest pain into his greatest power. Your divorce was an event. It does not define you. Your response to it, that is what defines you. That is your character. That is your legacy. Now go build it.